So here's today's question. What does it mean to be free? You see, in life, we want to be free. It's the main objective, is to have freedom to do what we want to do, to say what we want to say, to see what we want to see, to hear what we want to hear, to go wherever we want to go. But actually, is that freedom, or is it just a desire? How free are you really? You see, you want to be able to have some food. In order to have some food, you have to earn some money. In order to earn some money, you have to pay the government taxes. So are you free to get food? No. Are you able to forage? Not so easily. I've done foraging in the past myself, but in day-to-day life, no, you can't go out foraging. You want to travel? You have to get transport. You'd have a car, therefore you have to buy petrol. Therefore you've got to earn money and pay taxes more. If you want to go to another country, you've either got to get a boat or a plane, or stay within the country, you've got to get a train. And all of these require you to pay bills, buy tickets. And therefore, you're not free because you've got to earn money to pay these bills. And then even where you want to travel to is not free land. Everything's owned nowadays. Either it's owned by the government or it's privately owned or corporately owned. So what is free? It's something that we all desire. And I ask you, do you really think life is about freedom? Because that's what everyone seems to want. I want to be able to think what I want to think. I want to know what I want to know. I want to do what I want to do. I want you to think the way I want you to think. I want to have this freedom. But it's not. Actually, life is so conditional. Today I'm reading Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, first canto, chapter 6, just coming to the end of the chapter now, verse 37. And in this verse, Sutta Goswami is explaining that Narayana Muni, through all his devotional service, now has the freedom to travel where he wants to, whether it's in this world or in other universes. He's got to that stage of purity, no different to the Lord, and it's very beautiful. But we can only aspire, we can only read about it, because we're not at that point yet. And even though we seek to have freedom, what does that really mean in today's life? Do you really have that freedom? Would you like to have that freedom? And that's very important. And this is why in the next video we're going to discuss in further detail and much deeper what it means to be free. Hare Krishna. As we were discussing in the last video, we think we're free, but we're not free. We desire freedom, but we can't have it because everything costs or is owned by someone, or we've got to do something in order to get it. We can't just do it. We can't even just roam across land because it's all owned by people or corporations or governments or councils. And therefore, we're restricted in life. Very restricted in life. And it actually means that although our desire is to be able to have such freedom, we can't do it. It's impossible. Now, a few years ago, before I came back to Krishna consciousness, I was living in Europe, and I thought I would try and live in a self-sustainable way. So I was house sitting at a farmstead. It was a very simple farmhouse. There was no running water. We had to get water from the well. There was no drainage. There was a dry toilet, compost toilet outside. No bath, no kitchen sink. Simple electricity. A wood burner for cooking and for heating and for drying things. A vegetable garden to grow produce in. But it's still challenging to disconnect from the network and be free. Freedom to do whatever you want to do. I did get some solar panels to see if I could drum up a little bit of electricity, but you need so much to do it, and that costs money. So in order to pay for that, you've got to earn money. So it's not so easy just to use the sun's energy for free, unless you've got a lot of money to invest in a solar plant. But it charged the mobile phone, it charged a few small little appliances, but it wasn't enough to make it sustainable. The vegetable garden was great, but it didn't provide enough food for every day-to-day life. The well, we had to break the ice in the winter. We had to try and warm it up in the winter as well. Not the well, but the water we take from the well, that is. But then you need electricity to do that as well. So it's not free. Nothing is free in this world. Nothing is free. But it was a starting point. It was a good way of trying to live in a self-sustainable way to my capacity and what was available to me at that moment in time. Now, where can we go from this? Let's explore what it means to actually get to the point of freedom. So in the last video we were saying that I was living a self-sustainable life to a certain degree, but it's not free, it's not freedom. And even so, someone still owned the land, someone owned the building. There was rules that I had to conform with in respect to driving the vehicle that I had, to having to pay for electricity. There was expectations from the local council and the government that I behave and function in a certain way. I'm law-abiding when I'm driving on the road. I'm law-abiding when I interact with other people and do activities in life. So everything is about rules, not freedom. Absolute rules and rules and rules. But here in Krishna consciousness, life is somewhat different. When I first joined this ashram here in ISKCON Vrindavan 3 years ago, there was an expectation of me that in response to me being able to live here in the ashram, that I would do some seva, some service to the Lord. So there was an expectation that I would do a certain amount of hours a day. And it's reasonable, but it was something of an expectation, it was required of me. So it wasn't freedom as such, because I had to do things in a certain way and at certain times. But then certain things started to shift. Certain things started to shift in a very, very, very beautiful way. Because it was no longer the fact of, oh, I need to do X amount of hours of seva every day in order to balance the books. It got to the point where I was doing more and more seva, not because they were asking me to do it, because there's no one here standing with a stick over me saying, you must do this now, here and there, or whatever. There was no one commanding in that way. I knew that Lord Krishna was watching and listening and hearing everything that was going on in my life. But it got to the point where me serving the Lord became a very intimate love relationship. And this is what Narada Muni talks about. The more purified he becomes, the closer and closer, and the more intimate and intimate, and the more purified he became, he got to this point of actually being able to totally surrender to the Lord. I'm nowhere near that. I've got so much more work to do. But the one thing I did do was I gained this feeling of love, a very, very special love for the Lord, in the sense that, or one aspect of it I should say, is the fact that I wanted to serve him. Not just serve him, but to serve him more than is even required. And this is beautiful. And this is what I want to explain in the next video, is how we get to this point of just wanting to do something for someone else. Hare Krishna. So as I was explaining in the last video, I've got to this point now where I just want to do more service and more service. I'm literally doing double the amount of service that I was doing originally. And I found these lots of different other little sevas to do, because I just love to serve devotees, I love to serve the Lord. And when you get to that point of just doing it because it's innate, it's beautiful, and there is no ulterior motive. I don't do this seva because I want something back in return. You see, let me ask you a question. In life, do you not find that you're doing things because it is expected of you? Yes? Like for instance, you've got a job. You work for a company, therefore you've got to say a job from 9 till 5 or whatever hours, 9 till 6. You're expected to turn up at a certain time. You're expected to behave in a certain way in the office or company environment. You have to leave at a certain time. You're maybe having a performance-related job, so you're expected to have a certain amount of clients or sales or whatever it might well be. All these expectations, all because you want to earn some money to pay the bills. Just to pay the bills. And you've got to do this for 40, 50 years of your life. 5, 6, 7 days a week, 8, 10, 12 hours a day. It's hardship. But when it comes to serving the Lord, it's completely different. Serving the Lord means just doing it out of love, out of pure beauty, because that's all I want to do. All I want to do is serve the Lord and His devotees. So everything now becomes more of a selfless act, not for my personal gain. I don't have this ulterior motive, if I do this, this is what's going to happen next. Or if I do this, I'm going to get liberated, I'm going to get to the spiritual world. No. Who knows when and if I will go to the spiritual world. I spent many lives keep on coming back to this body, trying to develop myself and evolving in this continuum aspect of which the Lord organizes and arranges. How many more lives will I have to spend in the material world? Only Krishna knows. Will I ever get to the point of transcending to the spiritual world? Who knows? Maybe. But I can't have that be my motive. If I have that as being my motive, that is where everything is going to start to go wrong, because then I'm going to start serving for the wrong reason. But for me to serve is just love. It's just beauty. It's something that I can't stop myself from doing. And ironically, I end up over-endeavouring sometimes, just doing too much, because I can't stop myself. That's the downside to being a bit obsessive like I am. But let me explain that obsessiveness and how we overcome it and turn it to pure beauty in the next video. So as I was saying in the last video, I can get a bit obsessive. You see, in my younger years, I did have an obsessive personality, but that obsessive personality was something that was very negative in my life. Are you obsessive? Have you been obsessive? You see, for me, obsessiveness in the material world is hardship. It's so difficult, it's so challenging, it's so negative, so negative, because you can't be free whatsoever. It's a totally conditional life. Because you want things to be your way and only in a certain way, and if it's not, then it's a problem, a serious problem. And when you do things, you have to repeatedly do things until it's finite, until it's fully done and fully done the right way. But now I'm obsessed towards Lord Krishna, and that is just pure love, because none of the motive anymore is about me. Not about me, I and mine. We get so obsessed about what's mine. This is my clothes, this is my land, this is my car, this is my thoughts, this is my world. And you fit into my world, you fit into my life how I want you to be. You don't come onto my land without my permission. You can't come into my home without my permission. You can't take my car without asking me. Because everything in this life, in this material world, is about me, ownership and mine. I have very little now in life. I don't have my own home to live in anymore. I don't have a car anymore. I did have a motorbike, but I no longer have a motorbike. I have very simple possessions. Enough to get by, but only what I need. So I have far more freedom. I'm not carrying so much baggage anymore. And it's very beautiful. You see, the less we have, the lighter we become. I've had a life of just hoarding and collecting, and for what? For what reason? I've never been a big hoarder by any means. In fact, I used to live in rented homes, and I had this theory that if I hadn't used the item in the last home I rented, then I usually got rid of it and gave it to charity. But even so, all our possessions in life, when living in a family life with children and computers and furniture and cars and businesses, we have so many possessions that we're definitely not free, because every one of those needs to be paid for. You've got to pay taxes for, then you've got to maintain them and service them. And life is not free whatsoever. And I want to finish up on this one as how we can become free. coming up next. So as I was saying, now we get to the point of trying to become free. By reducing everything that we have gives us the opportunity to have even more freedom. We're flying lighter, for sure, there's no question about that. And we don't need to continually buy, have, need. Everything's based on necessity only. If I need it, I'll have it and use it. If I don't need it, or I can't have it, I accept. Everything is my Lord's arrangement. He will arrange for me to have whatever I need in life, or what I don't need in life, he'll take away similarly. And that's what he does. Over time, as we become more and more purified, he takes things away from us. And the simpler life then becomes. You see, there's many people who turn to Lord and they say, I want all of this, I need all these opulences, I need so much around me, oh please Lord, can you arrange me to have this and have that? But in Krishna consciousness, actually, the morals are so high that actually it's the opposite. Lord Krishna, I don't need this anymore. Let me give it to someone else. And it's beautiful, or the Lord just organizes it, because he knows what we need. And maybe at a certain point in time, we will have the freedom to travel around this earth and around the universes like Narada Muni is able to, because it's non-different to the Lord. And maybe at the time in life, whether it's in this life or a future life, the Lord is going to arrange for you or me or others to join him in the spiritual world. Do you feel that you may want that freedom now? Freedom to move away from this locked-in life, this conditioned life that you have to work and hardship and pain and fears and anxiety and stresses. That's my life, how it used to be. I'm lighter, I'm freer. And to serve the Lord, it's free. It doesn't cost anything. Devotional service is free, and that's beautiful. And whatever I can't do, or is beyond my capacity, I also have an awareness, thanks to Shastra, and read the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam and the Bhagavad Gita, that the Lord will put his hand out and help me the rest of the way with whatever is needed in that moment in time, based on his arrangements. And that is so beautiful. Who in life is going to help you and give without wanting anything back in return? And that is unconditional love. That is total devotional service. Not only do we serve the Lord serves us. It's a retrospective relationship, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I've never in my life been in a situation of knowing that I can trust someone. I mean, in society, can you trust other people around you? No, everyone's got an ulterior motive. Can you have belief? No, because you don't know what to believe anymore. Everything's a mix-mash, mishmash. A bit like how I used to look at life, take a little bit of this and take a little bit of that and create my own philosophy, but it's no good. But the Lord just gives and gives and gives and gives. He's the only one who can give and give and give. And why? Because Lord Krishna, he's got absolutely everything in the universe that he ever needs, and therefore he doesn't need anything from me or from you. And that's beautiful. And even if I stopped chanting his name, he wouldn't punish me. I'd just have a more mundane, ordinary life. But being that I serve him every day, it activates him. That activates my relationship with the Lord, who's inside me. The Lord is inside me, in my heart, in my para-atma. He sits next to my atma, my soul. So he's sitting there in my super soul, guiding my soul, guiding me as my teacher, as a witness, as an arranger, as the controller of life. And I'm just his little humble servant, just trying to stay on the path which he has configured in very, very detailed form, in order for me and for you to have this opportunity that at a certain point in our life, that we may be able to transcend into the spiritual world. But this is by his arrangement, not by my arrangements or your arrangements. Now, I'm sure many of you have been where I've been through work life and business life, or still there. Is life as beautiful as you think it could be? Do you continue to desire something more or different or better than what you have? Devotional service is free. It's love. It's an unconditional and innate love that you'll never have experienced before. So although you've gone from life to life and life and keep on going through the same lives, are you prepared possibly to give up a bit of your life now in order to try and find out if there's something greater? What have you got to lose? What have you got to lose? Nothing. Because if it doesn't work out, you've got another life. Another life to live whatever way you want to do. The Lord gives us that free will. Are you prepared to take it up? Let me know. Hare Krishna.